and you feel like, oh, I've never touched a racket in my life. How is that possible?
So you get that feeling as well?
I do.
I knew it wasn't just us, Jay.
It's definitely, yeah.
It's a thing around the world. Doesn't matter how good you are, you have that feeling of I can't hit a bond of a banjo today.
And that's why this sport is so difficult. It's not like riding a bike. You definitely lose it.
Look at this. Here we go. Oh, can you hear us okay, Patrick?
Yes, very good.
Great stuff. Well, thanks so much for joining us on the show here. We're here at WTT Champions Montpellier. I know you've got a busy schedule, so thanks so much for coming up here and having a chat with us.
Of course. I'm looking forward.
So I was going to say, we probably need to say sorry to you for being a bit rude yesterday, because we were sat there having lunch and Patrick came over and sat down on the table and he was like, how you going, guys? And we started having this good conversation and Dan was like, we're going to have to go. Really sorry, Patrick. And we left him.
No one ever ditched me like that.
It was actually quite brutal. You was on your own on the table, but I was like, this is such a great conversation. We have to move immediately.
Yeah. Because
it's happened before. And then it's like you get to the podcast and you feel like, oh no, we've already spoke about a lot of the things. So anyway, dude, you've had some incredible performances on the WTT circuit. And one to think about is, Ma Long. This one was insane. We talk about Ma Long a lot and your performances have been so strong, especially this year and, well, the last few.
I just want to say this one, not just one, twice.
Yeah. He proved that he could do it twice.
You might be the only guy still on the circuit, beat Ma Long twice, beat Zhendong twice, beat Xu Xin. Like, what is it with your game that gives these guys such trouble, do you think?
I have no idea, actually. My feeling was when I beat them the first time, it was Zhendong in 2019 in Australia. And I was very close to Xu Xin in the same tournament, had match point, I think. I got the confidence that I can beat them. And somehow I think my game is fitting quite well against them. I can play pretty hard and shoot my backhand sometimes. Yeah. So maybe they're a little bit afraid of it. I don't know, but somehow it works.
We actually talked about with Darko on the podcast. Darko's got the best backhand in the world. There's like this big discussion, but actually your backhand, Patrick, is so effective. And like when you beat Zhendong in 2019, I remember watching it. Your backhand was so good in that match. Actually, it kind of won the game. Zhendong was under pressure, but still, the Chinese are so good. And you know they are so good. Zhendong and Ma Long are so good. You know what I mean? Like they are elite. And you've took them out twice, especially Ma Long. What is it though? There must be something going on.
Yeah, in this match against Zhendong, I was down 2-0, I think, in Australia, and I didn't have a coach. And then I sat down after I was down 2-0, and I was like, okay, I have to. Normally, my tactic was to play to his forehand because I thought his forehand was a little bit weaker, but he didn't miss one forehand shot. So I was saying, if you want to win one set, that was my goal then. Yeah. Challenge me backhand, and then I hit 2-3 good backhands in the beginning of the third set, and suddenly I felt I would be unbeatable and stay on the backhand. So it was the trust in this match. I don't know. Yeah.
Your reverse serve as well was causing. You hit this beautiful one that I always remember. This reverse, and it might have been at like 8 or some key moment where you'd been sending him to kind of short forehand, and he was playing the Chiquita, and you fired one really long. Yeah. Beautiful, like the best serve I've ever seen. Maybe
it was an 8-9, I think.
Yeah.
And I actually saw I threw the ball and. I saw him going short to forehand 1 millisecond before I touched the ball, and somehow I could react.
We'll show it on the screen, honestly.
Absolutely.
That also doesn't happen all the time. But in this match it was there.
I wonder if it's part of your style as well, because the kind of new age of table tennis is to stay really close and a short, like a Harimoto or a Felix. Whereas you and probably Hugo tend to take that step off and a bit more of a full swing, but the power you guys generate, I wonder if that's something that is then difficult for them to adjust to. They don't quite know where to stay close to the table. Do you think that has something to do with it?
Yeah, I think the power that we can generate, like Hugo, like me, like also Darko can with his backhand, I think they get more pressure as if someone stays very close and kicks with them, this fast game. You can also beat them like that, but this is where they come from.
Yeah.
Obviously, they also, in practice, they have the best practice partners in the world all the time. And I think you have to do a little bit different things against them.
Like Truls.
Like Truls.
Or Anders.
Exactly.
It's interesting because Anders and Truls, they might do something quite, chop blocks and all these wild variations to try and slow it down, to try and mess it up. But actually, you're actually still playing full strokes, but just in different positions and different power.
Yeah, and I think the backhand aspect is also important. I mean, when I see Hugo's matches against them, I mean, when he shoots his backhand, I think it's definitely the hardest in the world. Yeah. And not one person in the world can block these balls. So why should the Chinese then block them? That's why, I think it's important to do a little bit different. I think I'm pretty tall. I have to stand a little bit more behind the table than Felix, for example. But I think that's the key in my case.
What's exciting for me, and I think most of the table tennis world will agree, is table tennis is so exciting right now. Like take the draw here at WTT. There's so many matches. You're like, wow, every match is so cool. And I think 3, 4, 5 years ago, the Chinese were so dominant, and it was very hard for the Europeans to get the wins. What do you think has changed then? Because it does seem to be more upsets, and there's a lot more threat to China now. I think with non-Asians non-Chinese playing the Chinese basically.
Yeah, I mean players got stronger, especially from Europe. I mean, you have now Felix and Alexis who are playing on a marvelous level, and they came like this.
Yeah. I mean, where did they come from?
Yeah.
They skipped so many, they didn't go through, like a long time a player might be 100 in the world, 120 in the world, and you graft to try and get to top 50. They went from I don't know, wherever they were to top 10, top 15.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I remember seeing them the first time in Düsseldorf and FIDA, beginning of 22. I played Alexi even. And I saw Felix on the table next to, and he was 14, 15, I don't know. And I already saw him, and I was like, okay, he will be pretty good, I guess. He lost to UNESCO, I think, on this day, but you could see if he continues, he will be very good. And Alexi the same. And I think overall, the players in Europe, we have Tools, we have so many others who all play a little bit different, a little bit unique. But with a lot of talent and a lot of work behind it, obviously. Almost everyone has their private coaches, their private fitness coaches and stuff. What maybe the Asians had already 4, 5, 6 years ago, what we didn't have. And I think it's a key. It's more professional, and players just got better.
Do you think part of getting more comfortable against the Chinese is the WTT structure of events? There seems to be more big events than ever where they're playing, where you guys are all playing, and almost you don't have to wait to a big World Championships or a Olympics to get the chance to play them. You could play them 5 or 6 times
more
in
often.
a year.
This I think it's good. This we always had to play them as often as possible to get the feeling how to play against them, because the level of play is just so much higher than what you're known. And what I think is also a big thing is that they have never played so many competitions like they do now. And before, they could always prepare 3-4 months before World Championships, Olympics, before the really big events. And this they cannot do anymore. So you see they're maybe a little bit more tired than before, or maybe they are a little bit overplayed. They don't have this 100% joy what they had before. And I think all this leads to that we have more chances against them, because for us Europeans especially, we have the leagues, we have the Champions League, we have the cups. So we are used to play, 100, 200 matches per year. And they maybe don't. So I think it's an advantage for us, for sure.
Yeah, you of course come from Germany, which is an incredible powerhouse for table tennis. Loads of great clubs, really good full-time practice, and I think a lot of countries are now copying that model, or a lot of players around the world will move to Germany or move to France to get this full-time practice. How important has that been for you? Because I feel like over the last 5 years, your game has really jumped up, but you've always maintained the positivity, to keep going. I guess the mental warfare of table tennis is so tough, because you can have some tricky losses, but then to get to where you've got to now with the wins you've had, and how is it with the mind and getting to that point?
Yeah, obviously it's not the easiest. Also not the easiest sport, I think, in general, because
it's a tough sport, man. I get that in every podcast. Sorry.
I've tried to teach you then some backhands.
Hey, it's coming on. No,
I've seen that.
It literally helped. Took a bit of multiple, but no, it's tricky.
But it needs time.
Even it needs a lot of time. Yeah, let's be honest. You can practice for a few days, you learn something from someone, but actually it takes years to craft something.
And pressure, like you can't just practice it on a robot. It needs like in match, doesn't it? Which takes time. Yeah,
it's so much to it, isn't there? It's actually extremely complex, but you've got to the point where you get so good. The level, it's all about levels, isn't it? And get into a solid base, which your base is so strong.
I mean, you have to find, I was always struggling a little bit with, like, what is actually my game? Like, which game do I want to play? Because my backhand was always solid, my forehand was solid, my serve, like everything was, I mean, pretty decent.
Yeah,
pretty
extremely good all around.
Yeah, but
hey, 9 out of 10, Joe. Okay, 7 out of 10.
I take a 7.
In the scale of WTT. Yeah. Come on.
Scale a mile long.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Then I take a 7.
Yeah.
And receives were fine and serves were fine. But in the end, you have to find one particular game that fits for you, and this you have to continue to develop. And this I was struggling with a long time, because when I was younger, table tennis was a lot about forehand and running with forehand, and I grew quite much, so I couldn't move that fast anymore. Then the backhand had to come to it. You see it on Malong. I mean, he's still always trying to put his backhand in a better place, because you don't have this time to play so much forehand anymore. And over the last years, I felt like, okay, this is my game now. I can take out even the Chinese with my strong backhand, with some clever serves. And if I follow up this, try to get even better, then you have at least a solid base for that.
You could argue, like, I think a lot of amateur players, amateurs, let's bracket me as an amateur as well, me, Joe, others. Actually, that is maybe one of the biggest issues, is not knowing your game strategy. So when you go to a match, you're kind of like, do I play forehand here? Do I do this? Like, and actually knowing what shot to play at the right ball. And it's kind of shot selection and a combination of many things, which is hard to find. And players that do know their game plan seem to generally get big results. And you know it
is interesting. I mean, I find it, even at our level, is like, if I go to train for an hour, should I train the things I'm really good at to get them better, or should I try and find my gaps and
weaknesses,
level them up? Yeah, like what's it?
What should you do, Patrick? Yeah.
I mean, I think it depends. It's important to do both. Obviously, when you're before a game, or maybe when your confidence is not so high right now because you lost some matches, and then obviously you should maybe practice the strength you have and make it even better, or just focus on them. So when you go in the next match, let's say your backhand banana is your big strength. I mean, focus on this, practice this before the match. Go in the match with the mindset like, okay, I start the first set with a lot of strong backhand flicks. Hopefully one of them is coming, and then I add up to it. If you're anyway on very high confidence and you feel like, well, right now I could beat anyone, then you can also work on the weaknesses, because your mental game will be a little bit easier if you make mistakes, because there you will make more mistakes and you feel like, even you feel like a beginner again. Like I want to learn new things, and you feel like, I've never touched a racket in my life. How is that possible? So
you get that feeling as well.
I do.
I knew it wasn't just us, Jay.
It's definitely,
It's a thing around the world. Doesn't matter how good you are, you have that feeling of, I can't hit a bond of a banjo today.
Yeah, and that's why the sport is so difficult. It's not like riding a bike. You definitely lose it.
Do you think, right? One of it is the variation of the game. Like, you go to one hall, it's so different to another hall. Do you think is there a factor that makes it difficult, do you think? Because we played last night in the training hall.
We snuck in the training hall at midnight.
Yeah, it was gone midnight, thought, right, no one's here, let's just get the bats out. It felt like heaven. It was so clean, wasn't it? How clean was it?
Yeah.
You knew when you made a mistake, why you made the mistake. I was like, okay, I just didn't close my angle, whatever. In other halls, a ropey church, it's cold, it's dripping with water, you block out, you don't know why you've missed. Tough.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we are privileged to have
that. But then every venue will be different as well. There are different tables, different balls, etc. So there's still variation, even at your level.
There's huge, like, you can almost compare it to tennis right now, because I mean, you have all the different table brands, the ball brands. We play almost every tournament on a different surface.
Yeah.
One is fast, one is slow, one ball is jumping higher, one has more spin, one has less spin. And the small amount of time between the tournaments and matches in the league, sometimes we play every 2-3 days in different halls with different tables and different balls. It's almost impossible to get used to it. So the sport is already very difficult and complicated, and this makes it 10 times more difficult.
And again, then it means you need to be mentally strong, keep concentrating, not let it affect you, and just control the controllables, right?
Exactly. Almost everyone has the same.
Yeah.
And again, if you know what your strength is, if you know what is working, doesn't matter if I wake you up 3 a.m, then yeah, it will probably work better.
I like it. So we're here at WTT, and obviously that's a huge change, WTT, over the last few years compared to, let's say, the World Tours. How are you finding WTT, the structure? You got the Infinity Arena here. It's just one match at a time. There's no 16 tables and no one knows which match to watch. You're in the center arena. How are you finding it?
I mean, it's pretty cool when yesterday I was coach from Jonathan, and I was sitting the first time on the coach bench, and I saw how he was walking out from this tunnel and like with the light show. So it was pretty cool to see it from this side.
From a fan perspective, almost,
exactly.
Okay, coach. But you see it from that perspective.
Yeah, I was a little bit fan also.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it?
You know, I did notice about those seats, those coach benches. There's no cushions,
No,
right?
I was surprised.
Yeah, we need to WTT got up your game there.
I was very sure there was a cushion, but yeah.
Now you know why Roscoff's a bit knackered after your match, you know?
That's why he's so stiff at the back and everywhere.
After a 7-setter, he's like, oh.
He feels worse than you.
Exactly.
So, Patrick, I know you worked hard at Barn, knackered, mate. You might just beat Mar Long, but I'm telling you, I worked harder here.
Exactly.
That coaching with Jonathan, is coaching something that you would look at as a career after you put down your bat?
I could imagine it, actually. I think more with like young kids, because the coach I had from the beginning, he was also coach from Timo and from me. And he was sorting out a little bit the talents and working with us from young to older. And I think that's something I would like to do, because you can like follow it a little bit, guide them a little bit also, not only in table tennis, but like everything. So this I could imagine is nice. Yeah.
Was his guidance to you at like 8 years old, was he just like, Patrick, take 2 steps off and backhand bomber? That's all you need to do, lads.
He actually always told me forehand in the beginning.
Interesting.
And this time it was more forehand. But he also always said I have a good backhand. So, yeah.
You know, we've actually done a podcast way back in the day, Patrick, before the bells and whistles here, you know, gone up a notch now. But thanks so much for joining back then as well, when it was the early days. And I remember you told me that when you started, it was around 6 years old, and it was actually in the same club as Timo Boll. And when you were 6, Timo is over there in the corner doing multiple and stuff. You know, there's so much vicarious experiences being gained there, right? You're a 6-year-old, you're watching Timo, how he contacts the ball, how he like just acts, you know what I mean? There must have been so much you kind of learnt then, do you think? Like, do you think that was a factor, having Timo around to get you to be, you know, one of the best players around?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, how influential has he been to you? Like,
I mean, having his coach by my side was a big influence. To see Timo, and it was not only Timo, it was Rossi was playing in this club when he was a little bit older, but still he could rip some backhands as well. And a lot of other players, some Asians were there, some Japanese. And I mean, when I was 11, 12, I was practicing with them in the same practice group. Not always with them, but I mean, I could stay there and watch them for 2 hours. And I think I was very, very lucky to have this opportunity, to have this possibility to see them train and to see, also what they can do with the ball. And definitely got lucky.
Because when me and Joe was that age, we had to like find some videotape, you know, of some like, there was no YouTube back then, right? So like it was quite hard to get exposure to like pros, or you might see someone at a tournament and that. And obviously that's not just, there's many contributing factors, but you know, nowadays with YouTube and stuff like that, players can now watch you on multiple, you know, when we put videos out, others. And actually there's a lot of good stuff now. So when kids are coming through, it's good. I would argue that's why we are getting a lot more players coming through the system, really good at a young age, because now they can watch on YouTube. I once coached this kid, he was 10 years old, right? And he was like, oh, hey, Dan, I was watching Zhendong the other day, right? 6 months later, I haven't seen him. He came up. He had a world-class backhand flick. He had the arm in the right position, you know, like the whole Zhendong thing going on. And I was like, wow. And it was all YouTube. No coach. So there's definitely a lot of stuff there, you know what I mean, where the people are getting better.
I think also it's a reason why so many how young they are now. So many good players. Yeah. It's not only Felix, it's so many other ones.
What about the lad from Iran, Benjamin?
14 years old,
he defeated Wang Chuqin.
Never seen him before.
I mean, wow, he's 14. Where has he come from? How has he got to this level? You know, I would argue, right, and I watched the match and I was like, well, maybe Wang Chuqin, you know, was ill or something. He played phenomenal, this youngster. And tricky serves, obviously, struggling, pushing kickers to the ceiling. And it's like, how is he doing that at 14? You know, remember back in the day, let's take Wang Lechin. No one at the age of 14 is getting near Wang Lechin. No one.
Or
Wang Hao, Ma Lin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it goes to show that there is a new generation that is able to learn and get the skill quickly somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it's a big thing with YouTube. Like,
you think,
100%.
and maybe the coaching, coaches have got better. They're learning as well. You know, you can see like, you know, yourself in the training hall, you can see the weight transfer, you can see how low you are. You know, like when I watch Tom Jarvis, he's so low, and it's like, okay, that's where I need to be. You know, like you can visually see it rather than being upright.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a factor. I mean, you can find anything on YouTube, like how to grill a steak or how to change like an engine filter.
It's fantastic.
Like,
I also did that one.
Yeah. What, the engine filter on the steak?
You got to get a cast iron pan, nice and hot. Yeah. You mentioned like growing up with Timo. How big has Timo? I mean, for me, he is one of the greatest of all time. He's probably he's in the top 5 for me.
Yeah.
Or actually, a technical question. How has he stayed at the top for so long? Because he went through like all these different phases and he's still, even in his Bundesliga match now, he's still at the very, very top. What's he doing? What's
he beat
been doing
Darko recently, for example, in Bundesliga.
It's just mad.
I mean, he's just, I don't know, so good.
That's it.
It's hard to say, but
It's because like obviously
he's just a huge talent. And like what I admired the most in practice, when he was practicing, he was not known as the guy who practiced the most from everyone.
Okay.
But when he practiced or still practices, you see this 100% focus. Of course, he has a little bit fun as well, but you see he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what he needs to do to stay with to compete with the younger ones. He's trying to developing his game, but in the end, he played pretty similar all the time. He played these spinny shots. He played a little bit different than anyone else. But yeah, this feeling, this control over the ball, the mental game, like he had so many things that were unique, and I also felt like they were so much ahead of the time. So but for me it's also amazing to see that he can still play so good with 44 or 45.
I'd love to ask you about where you'd score your 2024 out of 10, because there's obviously been some massive highs. And well, if I go to March, we were looking at it earlier. Singapore, that's where you beat Ma Long. You also then go further in the competition and beat Dima, right? Then about a few weeks later, you got the disappointing news about the Olympics and not being picked for that. And we were actually on the podcast and we debated it. Patrick or Timo or Dan Chu or whatever. And then I think it was the next episode after, we were like, you at Saudi Smash, we were like, this guy has just approached this in the perfect way and gone out there and has just ripped through the competition. And Saudi was the Fan Zhendong crazy win as well. Like, can you talk to me? I appreciate you probably, you know, it's a careful situation, but like kind of your mental state of massive high to then low to then actually, okay, let's go again.
Yeah, it was weird. And I mean, the whole year has been for sure the most challenging I ever had because of, like you said, the highs and lows I had. I felt I was playing pretty good since January, actually. I was in semi-final in India also, where I beat Darko and some others. So I felt, okay, I'm really playing good right now. And then Singapore with the Ma Long win and then the Dima win. And then actually 1 week after I got the news already that I will not be playing. And it was the toughest table tennis moment for sure in my life, because I also felt I'm a decent double player. I played good this year also in doubles, and like I felt I had deserved it, even though all the other ones also deserved it.
And it's similar. Similar for like Sweden. We were looking at like Team Sweden. Like who comes out of that team?
It's really challenging, isn't it? And that's one of the things when the Olympics changed it to like 2 singles and one team, where it used to be I think 5 players. And I mean, China have the same thing. Like, you know, it must be extremely challenging for the coaches as well and the team.
Yeah, so I mean, I was going to my family, told them, to my wife and my small kid. He doesn't understand it, but how they were helping me. I mean, I said, well, I have no fun to play table tennis ever anymore in the first moment, because I was like, okay, this I was working for the last 4 years to be in this Olympic spot, and somehow it feels strange to not be in. But in the end, I said, of course I will continue. I mean, it's the sport I love. It's what I love to do the most. And I also said to myself, okay, it can go either way now. I can play very, very poorly, or I can also play very good to prove it to myself that I can do it, even though it's tough times right now. And I mean, in the Saudi, it was also a tournament like that. First round, Anders Lind was 2-2, 10-10.
That was where he slipped,
and
wasn't
he was slipping. He played amazing in this match, and in the end, I'm standing in the final. So that's how it is in
such
sports.
A fine line. It's such a fine line.
Yeah.
And it's the setbacks, success comes down to just real getting through this difficulty, setbacks, adversity, and it makes you stronger. And you're only going to come stronger from this, do you know what I mean? And you're already showing that. So really good mentality, and, wish you all the best, man, because you're a legend.
And then one of the other things I wanted to ask was your Olympic silver medal for teams. Where's that in your house? Is it like in the bedroom, up on the wall, or is it like in a box somewhere?
It's in his bag. He's going to show us it right now. He doesn't let it go.
He has only the bronze medal from Europeans. Actually, I gave my mom. My mom has almost every trophies.
Oh, that's amazing.
She must have a mansion or something, man.
She got a good lock on there. Yeah.
But not this medal. This I kept to myself.
Yes.
It's in the drawer, like in a small, I don't know how to say it.
Like a box.
Yeah, exactly. A small box.
Do you ever just look at it and go, wow?
Oh, actually, I'm not this guy.
Oh, fair play. I love the way we speak to Trulls, and he's like, I've got both of them on at the same time.
What did he say? Trulls is saying, he goes, so when you got one, obviously, it's not going to make a noise, but when you got two, it's going to cling. You know what I mean? He's like, I've got the Olympic cling, because they can hit each other. It's just like, you can imagine him.
With his sunglasses on.
Yeah, I know.
But I guess if I have a single silver medal, I would also wear it probably all day, all night. But so we play in the same team, so he can show them to me.
Yeah.
Nice. You said you got a European medal on you?
This is somewhere in the bag.
What?
Can we have a look at it?
Yeah, sure.
We can't miss out on that.
Just have it casually
You got to be careful, Patrick. You leave it lying around, Joe will have it.
I'm going to get you to sign it, and it'll go on the wall.
Actually, nice.
Oh, it's weighty.
Yeah, it's heavy, isn't it? Nice.
I want to give it back before we break it.
Don't worry.
Okay, so next up then, we have Frankfurt, which is going to be crazy, right? You're going to be in the home country, crowd going nuts for you. Obviously, we're here in Montpellier at the moment. The crowd for the French players is insane. Hopefully, we get exactly the same thing for you guys. You excited for that?
Yeah, I mean, last year was already amazing. It's actually my hometown. I grew up close to Frankfurt, so a lot of friends from me and family, of course, will show up. And yeah, hopefully they make the same noise like the French guys do here. I mean, it's insane, but we do everything so that they will do it.
Yes,
I love it. And that's what's great about WTT in this Infinity Arena. You all your family can come, all your friends. And it's just like an insane arena. It's just going to be a crazy electric showdown. So I think, guys, make sure if you're in Germany or wherever you are in Europe, head over to Frankfurt. It's going to be a great one.
It's a nice city as well.
Exactly.
Good food. Yeah.
Patrick, thanks so much for joining us, man. You're a legend. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Guys, as always, follow WTT on their social media and on their website, and they have an app as well. For now, like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.